Welcome to Discover Resilience, the podcast, a series dedicated to deepening conversations around a critical shift, how organizations are breaking down silos to achieve true enterprise-wide resilience.
Join us as we sit down with customers, industry leaders, and Everbridge experts, exploring everything from the philosophical to the strategic and the tactical steps of what it truly means to build and maintain resilience. I'm Casey Daghai.
And I'm Shay Bond. We're your hosts, and with a combined 30 years of experience in the resilience space, we've seen firsthand what works
and what doesn't
when it comes to resilience, and we're excited to bring those conversations to you. Are you feeling recovered after our recent travels?
You know, I'm not, and I think that kind of just shows my age at this point that, you know, I used to be able to travel all the time for work, and now a singular 4-day trip, I might as well have gone to the ER. I mean, somebody might as well have put me in an ambulance and said, she needs, you know, she needs some hydration. Yeah, she needs an IV.
Maybe a short coma.
A short coma would have been great. So no, I'm not. Are you?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
And we've been back a week?
Yeah. That's
a long time for two people to still not be recovered from travel.
Yeah, I think mine had some more to do with the amount of travel. Like I traveled all of July. I traveled a lot in August.
That's a fair point.
So I think it was the compounding travel.
It's the compounding travel. It's also that there's not a lot of great routine or habit that's available to you when you're traveling. You know, it's kind of sunrise to sunset is you're working all the time and you're not eating very well at all. And I feel like, you know, I don't do a great job because I am the one that also brings like a ton of snacks when traveling.
I really feel like we should actually talk about your snack habit because it's unprecedented and unique exclusively to you.
I hope you're headed down the path of like you're really impressed by it. You think that others would be impressed and not.
That's one word for it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I will say on record that I'm not complaining about it at all because I benefit greatly from it. But it's odd.
It's reckless.
It
is very odd, I think. So in the recent trip that we did, my entire bag, my personal bag, was filled with snacks.
And that's not an understatement.
No,
I need people to understand that is a fact.
Facts. I couldn't fit my water bottle in there.
Right. Like when people say, oh, I travel with snacks.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe you have 2 to 3 snacks. You know, maybe no. It's like when Casey offers you a snack, it's like, what kind of snack?
A variety.
Oh, a savory snack? Great, get more specific.
Would you savory like cheesy? A savory spicy? I've got them all. I go to the store before, you know, you have your kind of pre-planning list of packing certain things, your technology, your clothes, whatever. I have a specific trip that I do just for snacks. And there are categories. There is a formula to my snack habits.
Makes a lot of sense.
Well, it does. Right, you do have the savory, and one of them has to be cheesy. One of them has to be spicy for me. There is probably a mixed variety of cashew or almond or something like that. There are several types of chocolate. There are 2 types of candy. So I think for that trip, I probably had 12.
That sounds right.
12 snacks. But here's the thing is I don't like being unprepared. You know, because when you're traveling, anything can happen. Obviously, there are delays, things pop up, and I treat it like I could be, you know, stranded at sea for days at a time.
Yeah, if there was like a 4-hour delay, you could start a small business.
I could. So, that's where my head's at too. Is I could profit off of this.
Yeah.
I try not to. I try to. You know, people always make fun of me for how many snacks that I bring, but who's the person that comes up to me when we've had a flight delay and is asking for some candy? It's all of our coworkers.
It's true. Meanwhile, I've got gum and like a half-eaten brownie, maybe.
You do always have the essentials, though, right? If we need a little bit of, you know, we've got a headache, I know that I can come to you for those things. Because I've not remembered those because I've prioritized the
Yeah.
snacks, which probably is giving me the headache, if I'm being honest.
Might be the 2 bags of sour gummy worms.
Why do I feel so bad? Because I just demolished some sour worms.
Yeah, I've got the small pharmacy. I've got your Dramamine, your Tylenol PM.
Yes.
So I am prepared in that way, but you've got the snack game on lock. There was a moment, I think it was at the very tail end, where I was like, all right, Casey, I need a snack. And you were like, I've been waiting for this moment.
I've been waiting for this. This is why I do this. It is very gratifying to be the person that's like, let me help you out here.
Yeah.
And I will continue to be that person.
Yeah.
So,
Conference mom.
Conference mom. What a badge of honor, honestly. So anytime somebody's headed to a conference, let me know. I've got the snacks.
Provide them with the formula.
Have the formula.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, y'all. Well, let's go ahead and hop into our episode today.
Let's do it. April, we are so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a very special episode. We are recording from DRJ Fall 2025. So you got the special episode, very deserving, of course. And we just wanted to share a little bit about you. You are a business continuity manager at Burns McDonnell in Kansas City, where you are building an enterprise resilience program consisting of business continuity, crisis management, disaster recovery. Prior to joining Burns and Mac, April worked at American Century Investments for 23 years with oversight of business continuity, disaster recovery, crisis management, and cybersecurity governance, risk, and compliance. What did you not have?
Yeah,
there?
what are you not
April,
doing
geez.
here? Okay.
April
should have just done that, actually. What did she not do?
All of it. We should have just said all of it.
Yeah.
April has worked in the resilience field for nearly 15 years and holds the Master Business Continuity Professional and Certified Cyber Resilience Professional designations through the Disaster Recovery Institute International. So, highly accomplished, April. Thank you again for joining
Woman
us.
of many talents.
Many talents.
As we have always known you to be. So one thing that we like to do with the podcast is we like to have a little bit of fun in the beginning, and we have different segments that we do. And we did not tell you which one we were doing here, just to keep you on your toes.
No, you did not.
So this is called Rapid Fire Resilience, and it's a this or that style series of questions where you choose one thing or the other, but it has to be fast. Now, as you know us to be, there is maybe a right or wrong answer to these, although in maybe the normal version of this, there's not. And you have to pick one or the other. You can't say both. You can't come up with a new one.
Just one answer.
Because I know that you would try to do that.
I am a little bit of an overthinker, so I will do my best. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to get started here. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Planner or go with the flow?
Go with the flow.
Okay. Virtual training or in-person classes?
Ooh, in person.
That's the
Classes.
that's the right
Yes.
answer.
Yep,
If it's
right.
you teaching, there we go.
Oh, you're going to hate this one. Eagles or Chiefs?
Oh, Chiefs. Are you kidding me?
Work from home or in office?
I like hybrid.
Hybrid. Okay, well, we said that you
I
couldn't choose
know.
that, but
Okay,
that's
fine.
fair. I do like
Okay.
hybrid.
Okay.
Tacos or pizza?
Tacos.
Yeah, okay. Interview style BIAs or self-service?
Interview style.
Okay. Books or movies?
Books.
Email or Slack?
Email.
Okay. Who's your best friend, Casey or Shay?
Ooh, Shacy.
That's cheating. She cheated.
Well,
did
we'll
cheat.
be giving you your formal grade after. That's another thing that we do.
Well, but see, we just started the podcast, so I can't make an enemy right off the bat.
That's
So,
fair.
yeah,
Wait until the
wait until
At
the
the
end,
end.
and then
At the
whoever
end,
was
we'd
nicer
like-
to me wins.
Well, thank you for humoring us with this. I did tell her that I was throwing that in there, and she's like, she's gonna really not.
Yeah, she's
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
cheat.
cheat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you're
what's
gonna
gonna
cheat.
happen.
Okay.
You know, I'm resourceful. That's what it
You
is.
are.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
All right, so today we are talking about how to get buy-in from your subject matter experts, and this is something that you know a lot about. You've had to do many times, and we know that it is hard enough to get buy-in from your executives and from your stakeholders, and I feel like that gets talked about a lot, right? There's presentation after presentations about, you know, getting buy-in at the boardroom level, and there's not as many conversations about something equally challenging as getting buy-in from your subject matter experts. So once you kind of, you know, crest that hill of, all right, I've got everybody on board at an executive level, now I need to get these subject matter experts on board to actually work with me and deliver, and that's just as critical.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So one of the things that we want to do here is obviously highlight the successes that you've had, but in doing so, we want to highlight some of the top challenges that you have faced, that we have heard from other program managers for decades at this point, about having true engagement and collaboration with subject matter experts. So we had kind of developed, the top 5, let's say, of the challenges that program managers experience. So the first one is competing priorities. This is not their full-time job. They've got other stuff to do. Everybody's busy. So that's number one challenge. The next one that we hear a lot about is having unclear expectations. A subject matter expert, maybe that's kind of newer in their role, might not know what it means to fill out a BIA. They might not know what a BIA is. So having those kind of unclear expectations is one of the challenges there. Third one, which is pretty difficult, is lack of enforcement, because you as the leader of the program, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not the person, you're not their mom, right? We made this joke. But so you're not their direct leader being able to enforce and hold them accountable as well. The other one is not understanding their role in recovery, right? Everybody's so busy doing their day jobs in their particular function of the business, but they might not understand, hey, if we can't recover your function, or if we aren't able to, do X, Y, and Z things, here's how it impacts the rest of the organization. And then lastly is some kind of active resistance that they might be pushing back on. So they might not understand the value of business continuity, of resilience for their organization, and they might be giving you a hard time about it. So those are kind of the top 5 challenges that we want to acknowledge, and then kind of dive into a little bit deeper to understand how you have proactively overcome those challenges. And we'll probably use that word a lot in our conversation today, because it is proactive and it's strategic, and you have proven that you are able to overcome those things. So let's talk, a little bit more. But first and foremost, April, how long have you as a program manager been working with subject matter experts in this capacity?
I would say right around 10 years.
Okay.
So prior to that, my experience was really on the department level, where I was a department level coordinator. So I had a lot of great insight into kind of the end product of all of the planning that we're doing. And I was the answerer to the BIA, so to speak. But I moved over to the corporate business continuity team and started running the program in 2015. So right around 10 years.
Starting with competing priorities, no one is really sitting around being like, hey, I don't have anything to do. This is it sounds great. Let me volunteer my time. So how is that something that you've addressed? How do you go in knowing that people have other things going on and might not necessarily be chomping at the bit to dive in with you?
I think a big piece of it is really putting yourself in their shoes, right? Like I have that perspective of having been in the business and having that full-time job. And when you're in the business, your job is to do your primary thing that's helping keeping the business going, right? Keeping money coming in the door, or whatever your role is. And so putting yourself in their shoes and understanding that you're asking them for something outside of their scope, because I think so often we're like, yes, we have that top level buy-in, leadership's on board. And so of course that's going to trickle down to the subject matter experts, and it often doesn't, right? And so I consider it my job to come in and get that buy-in right off the bat from my subject matter experts. So I am never running a BIA in meeting number 1. It's just not happening. I'm coming in, I'm educating them on what the ask is and what it is that we're trying to do.
Yeah. And I think some of that initial education and partnership there is going to help too with kind of this next challenge that we've talked about a little bit, which is just unclear expectations. I mean, in the years that we were working with program managers in kind of the launch of their programs, we heard a lot of times that, hey, I'm working with some subject matter experts from the business. They don't really know how to fill out a BIA. They don't know what they're really being asked. And so those unclear expectations then lead to more work for you to do that explanation. But talk a little bit about how you kind of set them up for success, or how you educate them on what is business resiliency, and then breaking down what your expectation is of them as the business owner.
Not even just that, but we made the joke when we were talking previously that it's not even that they don't know how to fill it out. Some people have no idea what it even is.
Well, yes,
So much, I think you said that even your family to this day is still kind of like, what do, April?
What do you do, my dear?
And I usually lean very heavily on crisis management, because people can understand that, right? Like they can conceptualize, when something goes wrong, a company has to respond to it, right? So I lean very heavily on that. But business continuity, even though it's in the name, right? Like, you feel like you should know what that means. People just kind of glaze over and don't understand. And so that's where I start.
Yeah.
You know, that is where I really do walk in, and I want to assume that that person is starting from zero. And that's okay, right? Like I can't sit down and, you know, do a business's taxes, right? Like I'm not an accountant. And so I just assume I need to do this level of education first. And so I don't even consider it extra work. I consider it the work. So I build that into my roadmap is how do I get this person to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. The why is so very important, right? Like these are things that we're doing to protect this company. And so you need to find that kind of carrot. You know, you can either have a carrot or a stick. You're not going to get very far just saying, well, compliance requires us to do this, because that's a bare minimum mentality, right? You want to get people engaged. You want to get them bought into it to a point where they're maybe not even enjoying it, but it's different and it's not terrible. It's what I'm usually shooting for.
And in some cases, compliance might not even be the stick that they have.
Right. I'm in a very unregulated industry right now. You know, previously I was in finance, super regulated, and so you would think, oh, well, this was easy. It wasn't easy there either. I had to find other reasons to get people to engage. But in an unregulated industry, you really have to find something that is appealing to someone, and you have to make it engaging for them.
Yeah, for sure. The next one that we have started to touch on was not having authority, right? So what do you do in a scenario where, you know, in almost 100% of the scenario, you as a program leader don't have direct authority to make anybody do anything?
I address that right off the bat, you know, because I know that whenever someone has their daily tasks, right? I'm interrupting that. And I know their gut reaction is, well, wait a damn minute. I already have a job, right? Like I have a whole list of things. In some cases, I have 2 or 3 jobs. And so why am I even entertaining you, you know? So I just immediately walk in and try to empower them to go on this journey with me. So I immediately acknowledge their workload. I understand that you're really busy. I understand that this is not your highest priority. You know, I understand all of those things. So I'm going to let you work with me, right? Tell me, when's the best time for this? Do you want a 4-hour block if we have multiple things that we need to do? Would you rather have 1 hour this week, 1 hour next week? I build my timelines allowing for multiple departments to be in flight all at once. So if I come in the next day and, I don't know, HR has had something blow up and they're like, oh, we really need to go address this and cancel this meeting, I can roll with that and it doesn't negatively impact me because I have other work I can go do. And then I empower them to tell me, when do you want me to circle back with you? You know, people are really, really good at ignoring things that they don't want to do. And so I don't want to become something they don't want to do. And so I'm saying, hey, Casey, I totally get it. You've got something you need to do today. What's a good day for me to circle back with you, you know, and tell me when that's going to work for you. And a lot of times people just want to feel understood and they just want to feel acknowledged in that way.
I mean, that consideration goes such a long way. I mean, you putting yourself in their shoes and going to them and offering options or offering partnership is such a different approach, and I love that so much about your approach, is that oftentimes, you know, people are very regimented or very structured in their approach, and they're going in and saying, like, this is my schedule and we need to do this, and I'm going to do this department and then I'm going to do this department and this department. And what I love about your approach is that you're going in and being like, hey, we're going to get all of these done, and the best way for me to do that is for me to have them work with me. And so if I meet them where they are, that's going to work out better for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's where some of the program managers that we've worked with in the past have kind of stumbled, because I think it's really natural to want to kind of do some tactical things or some tasks to just get it moving and get it out the door. But, you know, echoing your point and how we kind of have talked about it, is you really focus on kind of the human psyche and making a connection. And while that can be difficult and it can add more work for you to establish that trust, respect, rapport, it is really critical in being able to kind of have them, you know, understand what you're, you know, trying to get them to do here. One of the next kind of challenges, number 4 here of our top 5, is them not understanding their role in recovery, right? As we've said, everybody's so busy in their day-to-day. I know I can get, you know, in my day-to-day caught up in my little tunnel vision of what I need to accomplish, but I have other team members that I'm working with. I have dependencies upstream and downstream of me. So how do you sit with a business owner that might not be getting why their part is so important? How do you help them visualize or illustrate why it is so important that they participate in this program and that they think about resilience and the importance to the organization?
It's a good question, and it kind of differs depending on the personality I'm working with, right? But I think for the most part, it really is kind of scenario building on the fly, right? So instead of just relying on, oh, when we do this exercise at the end of the year, you're really going to understand how this all comes together. It's really kind of piecing that out throughout the year. So I'm kind of a slide queen. I have slides for everything, and I have slides for different departments where like, these are the things that could go wrong in your department, and these are the things that you're telling me are really critical. So let's talk about it. In a real world situation, what would you do? What would you expect to see happen? What would need to happen? And really kind of put that on them to help me come up with that scenario. People really want to feel heard. They really want to feel acknowledged and understood, and they want to feel respected. And so by leaning on that E, right? Like they're my expert. I say that to them. I don't know your job. I don't really need to know your job. I need you to understand how we're going to work together. And so I'm leaning on their expertise and using those kind of real world scenarios to draw it out for them what that would look like.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful too, because again, people get into the natural day to day and they're not thinking about, what if something happens, but what if, it's going to happen. So being able to kind of take a step back and say, all right, let's not focus on this very kind of physical part of building a plan or a BIA, and stepping out and saying, okay, here's the, kind of the boom, and then here's what happens afterwards. So I think that's really helpful to say, here's why we're doing it. Yeah.
Right.
You talked at one point about how you had an example or a story about how you found a creative way to get the information that you needed. You were talking about a gentleman, it was a mining example. Do you want to share that story?
Yeah, so one of the things that is sort of new for me at Burns and Mac is we have many different business lines, right? Like it is a sprawling company compared to where I came from, where it was a lot more narrow focused with investment vehicles. And so that has been an education for me anyways, right? Getting used to all of these different business lines, different people, different areas of expertise. And so we were doing a little bit of work in our Southwest region, and we were in our Phoenix and Tucson area. And I'm in the Tucson office, and I'm just kind of interviewing people, kind of starting off with, what do you know about this work? What do you know about crisis management? Do you know anything about business continuity? Let's chat about that, kind of figuring out what our approach is going to be for our regional offices. And the gentleman I was meeting with mentioned in the course of his kind of job description, mining. And I freely admit that with a 10-year-old son, Minecraft, that's what I know about mining, right? Like, I think I made a Minecraft movie reference and joke because I'm just a nerd like that. And so, but it got him laughing, right? And then I just sort of abandoned any formal questionnaire and just said, will you tell me more about this? I don't know anything about this, and this is really interesting for me. Will you just share? And so we talked for an hour where he's just sharing what he's doing. He's really breaking it down for me because this is where he shines, right? Like, people love to talk about what they know. You can see it, right? Like their whole body language changes, their face lights up a little bit, they're laughing, they're smiling. I would have that interaction over a formal BIA interview any day, right? And I have the benefit of I'm just a naturally curious individual. And so, you can tell me that you're like studying sea sponges, and I'm going to be like, what does that mean? And
Tell me more.
Yeah, so it was a really engaging conversation. I'm sure that for him, it didn't feel anything different than just like a water cooler chat, but I've got pages of notes from there that I can then take back and apply whenever I'm running a BIA or developing a plan for this particular function.
So you still got everything that you needed.
Got everything I needed and more, and it was one of the more fun conversations that I've had in a professional setting.
And he was probably like, she's great.
And more incentivize the next round where you have to, kind of go iterate on that process, right? He's going to be like, I know April, she's great. I'm happy to participate in my organization's resilience efforts.
And that's actually kind of a natural byproduct. I'm glad you brought that up, but it's really a natural byproduct for this entire topic is when people feel heard and seen and they want to talk to you. Now I've built an advocate for my program, right?
Absolutely.
Like if someone else in the office is like, I got to go talk to this April lady. What does she want? He's probably going to be like, oh, it's great. You're going to get to go in. She's got great questions. She seems really interested and engaged versus, I sat down with that guy and he just, six questions and kept me on target. It was 35 minutes and then I went back to my desk and it was painful, right? Like I want it to be engaging.
You want it to be interesting. Okay. So let's say that it's not about competing priorities, and they understand what the expectations are, and you've gotten them through the recovery bit, and it comes down to it, and they just are actively resistant, and it's kind of direct pushback or kind of an obstinate behavior. Have you had to deal with that? And if so, what is your best approach?
I have, and it's really interesting. As I was kind of thinking over this session and strategizing in my brain on my examples, I was trying to come up with, what is the right way to say it? And I think it's a little bit like gentle parenting, right? Like you're really trying hard to walk someone where you want them to go, right? Without them feeling pushed around or led or anything like that. That doesn't always work, right? And so I start with my charm offensive, right? Like how can I possibly charm you into wanting to do this? I'll start with my respect for their timeline. I am, like I mentioned, I keep a lot of departments in flight. And so if I need to, I can just say, I'll circle back to you at the end. It sounds like you're too busy. I've got a long list of departments that I need to talk to. So I'll just drop you to the end and come back later. Oftentimes that'll work. I usually casually try to find a way to name drop their leader, right? Because I don't want to say I'm going to go tell mom or dad, but that's what I'm implying, right? Like, and then if that doesn't work, I'm not at all opposed to just a really good old-fashioned heat map, right? I will turn you red if I have to, and you'll be the last one
Nobody
red.
Nobody wants to be in the red.
Nobody wants to be in the red. So I really try hard to charm and to get someone to want to work with me because that's going to be better for everybody. But if we can't get there, then I will go to some of our more kind of traditional methods of, this is something that we're doing. It's something that we're doing from an organizational perspective. So if I need to talk to someone else, I can do that. If I need to go get a different subject matter expert, I can do that too. And your department's red until I get one.
Right. Well, and thankfully you've said, because we did have to ask, that you don't actually have to experience that challenge so frequently that it's like the thing that you have to deal with all the time. Out of those challenges though, just out of curiosity, is there kind of one in particular that is the most challenging for you, or that maybe you've had to focus a little bit more attention on building that into your proactive strategy of meeting with these folks and getting their buy-in?
The biggest barrier that I always run into is the competing priorities. It's always that. I mean, I very, very rarely get this super active, I just don't want to be here pushback. So it's almost always, I'm way too busy for this, or I don't understand this. Those are my two biggest ones. And so both of those, I really try hard to just get around it from the beginning. That's why I've sort of developed this entire structure that I use. That's why whenever I'm hiring for my team, I'm looking for people that are going to want to play this way, because I don't want to hire somebody who's got that really regimented, I'm going to interview 9 people in accounting this week and 10 people in HR next week. Like, that's just not going to work. That's not how we work anymore. And so that I'm steadily building the program with people who approach it the same way. And that takes care of a lot of the pushback that I get.
Sure. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, April, we like to wrap up with some tangible takeaways. So just to kind of give folks a little bit of, all right, this was really great. I really like this approach. I want to go implement something. So before I dive into my summary, do you have any kind of final words of wisdom that you want to share?
I think the main thing I would say is really focus on the people. I can't stress that enough. It's the people. We're all people. If you talk to anyone in this room, anyone in any room at this conference, everybody sincerely wants to do a good job, right? Like, no one wants to go to work and suck at it, right? Like, we all really want to do a good job. We want to meet our deliverables. We want to accomplish something. And so if you really lean into that and really lean into the people that you're talking to and the relationships that you're building, you're going to get there. That's going to solve, 90% of your problems, if not more.
So tangible takeaway 1, schedule an introductory partnership call. Just really, and that's exactly what I had, connect and show interest in their roles. I think that's something you really do well. You talked about that, being interested in what they're doing, trying to connect, trying to build that relationship and that partnership. Developing an adaptive approach. I think that's another thing that in our conversations stands out to me the most. Being willing to be flexible, being willing to say, hey, I'll circle back, being willing to say, hey, this is obviously something that is is worth the time and energy for me to sit down and educate you on so that you understand the value. And then lastly, providing recognition, acknowledging their efforts, acknowledging their importance of their time, acknowledging their expertise. So those are some things that if you really found that this approach seems like something you want to start to implement, some things that you could have as a tangible takeaway.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ladies, that's a wrap on this episode of Discover Resilience, the podcast. April, thank you so much for spending some time with us. You know that we love you dearly. And
We do. Thank you.
We
very mutual.
appreciate you sharing your success stories, your use case on how you can overcome these challenges by taking a proactive approach. Catch more episodes wherever you stream your podcast. And for the full picture on how to stay ahead, head to everbridge.com. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, stay resilient.